Hey guys, and thanks for joining me for another video. I was just on my phone and I saw a comment from a subscriber that asked a really great question and I wanted to answer it. So thank you to you. You're gonna know who you are. I'm sorry, I don't remember your username, but God bless you. So they asked a question about how to not look tired when you're dancing, and that got me to thinking that I want to share some tips on not only how to look not as tired when you're really tired, but also how to function and specifically like perform when you're very tired. So let's get on with the tips. The first tip is that when you're in a situation when you're performing specifically, I would advise that throughout the whole rehearsal process, you are very thoughtful and like mentally engaged in your dancing and more or less telling your body what to do, so that when you get to the show, you have that muscle memory set up. You can just be present and use your intuition and have a real connection with the audience, and also just enjoy yourself more as a performer, because that's what the audience really wants to see most of the time. You enjoying yourself. If you look stressed and miserable, it's going to stress them out, and that's not nice for anybody. So anyway, that's another thing. But what I recommend is that when you start to get more tired, that is typically when the familiar sensations you rely on to feel confident in your work, you know, the muscle memory, those just go out the window, because all of a sudden your body feels like it is fighting against you. You don't know how you're going to get through, and then you start to panic, and then you start to cramp up, and it is a vicious cycle. So I would recommend planning, not anticipating getting tired and like expecting it and stressing out beforehand, but just accepting that you will just have to have a different approach, and that's okay, because most of the battle here is mental. Well, I wouldn't say most, a lot of it is physical, obviously, but your biggest tool is your mind to just sort things out with your body for the time being. So these moments when you're really fatigued and your body is fighting against you and not working how it normally works, that is when your mind really needs to take over again, and you need to know what is going to be important for you to command your body to do. So the things I recommend are focusing on your plie and really being intentional about your footwork. Usually, as far as technique goes, the plie and the footwork goes out the wazoo right away. But that's not everything. What the dancer is going to be thinking about is the technique. What the audience is probably going to be looking at is not really your technique as much as your presence. So I'll kind of address the artistry side as to how to not look so tired. And then I'll go more into like the technical aspects that can also help out your look as well as just your overall experience. So as far as the artistry goes, usually the first thing to happen is that a dancer's shoulders will come up. For many, their arms will straighten out. You kind of lose fluidity in your upper body, and sometimes it's usually that the shoulders come up. Usually also whenever you're doing a lot of jumping or something like that, the shoulders will start to sag. So I do think that having a really strong core is super important for when you get tired. So that's where cross training comes in. But as far as in the moment, you have to focus a lot on your breathing. So deep exhalations, try to coordinate your breath with your movements, and that's something you should be practicing in rehearsal leading up to the performance, so that you're not like giving your body a million different commands while you're also really hyped up on adrenaline because you're on stage, you know? So getting oxygen into your body is really going to help with just the fatigue in general, but also when you're breathing, you're going to look more relaxed in your face. And for me personally, my nostrils just flare up and I kind of look like this, and I'm so tired and I'm just like trying to get more oxygen into my body, so like my nostrils flare up, which is, I've seen it in a lot of pictures, and I'm like, ooh, Kirsten, we gotta work on that. So for me personally, I focus a lot on my facial expression and just being relaxed and using my eyes like I talked about in my previous video. A lot of times when you're stressed and you're really tired, you're gonna get this look. So you want to just simply just practice your facial expressions. That really helps. And putting the tension in your body in a place that's useful, instead of just letting it happen in your shoulders and in your arms, you could put it into your core or something else, or feel your back be really strong. That can be individual for you because everyone has a different experience, like in the sensations in their body when they're dancing. But that is a tip that some professional dancers use. They know that they're going to get tense, so they know where to put it in, if that makes sense. Like, there is such a thing as being able to like breathe differently, or like hold your body in a different posture or in a different energy. I know some dancers that will like actually like bite their tongue or something, or like press their tongue against the roof of their mouth because it helps them to like not put tension into their fingers or something else. I don't personally practice that because I'm just all about just not being tense. Like, it's also another strategy to just practice so frequently relieving tension in your entire body instead of channeling it. So you just got to experiment and find what's right for you. And going back to eye line, like I was talking about in my last video, the more you really present yourself and focus on your upper body when you're very tired, and just presenting and just kind of accepting that maybe your technique is gonna reduce in quality as you get more and more tired. That's very normal, but you still have control over what your upper body looks like. So that really helps. As far as the technique goes, here are some tips. So, like I said, focus on getting more of a range in your motion through the depth of your plie. Don't just focus though on going deeper in your plie, but getting deeper by relaxing. So use each plie as a time to relax and almost feel like, for me personally, when I'm trying to be as efficient as possible, which is a tip, you need to be as efficient as possible with your energy usage. It's like a cell phone, you put it on like energy saver mode or something. You do that with your body as well. So for me, in order to have an effective plie releve and get through a long piece, I just feel a relaxation in my plie, and then at the right moment when I'm about to go up into a releve, it's a very rhythmic spring up onto point that uses momentum to get onto point instead of energy of forcing into like a kind of wimpy plie and then trying to grip my way up onto point. And I feel mostly a relaxation in my leg except for my calf to get on point, in my upper leg, like where my hamstring connects to my glutes, to get the lift in my releve. So I know that's very technical, but I'm just giving you a scenario of how you can be efficient with your movements. Another funny tip that I think a lot of people would not expect. I found this by surprise. When I was rehearsing for a piece, I really didn't have a lot of time to put it together, but it was exhausting. Oh my gosh, but wonderful. I found that there was a chance for me to balance just a hair longer in a couple positions towards the end of my solo. And I thought initially to just be like super fluid and, oh, I'm just gonna use as little energy as possible to get through the end of my solo. And I realized my coach was telling me that, or my instructor was telling me that I wasn't holding any positions. I would just like finish a section, go to susu, and then run to the other part. Like, I was always in a rush. And I realized for me personally, I rush when I get tired. For some people, they get behind. So be aware of that. Really listen to the music whenever you're getting tired. So that's where the brain comes in, you know, telling the body what to do. Not just assuming, oh yeah, I generally remember what tempo I'm supposed to be dancing this at. Just be present and listen, and then tell your body, okay, this is what we're doing. But anyway, back to my point about the balancing. I actually found that I could kind of perch up onto point and stay there a second longer, and then I didn't have to spend so much time in my transitions. I found that my transitions, like plie and the tombe pas de bras and things like that, those were taking up more of my energy instead of just the times where I could use my tension. My muscles wanted to be stiff and not move, so I let them do it. You know, I would hold that attitude or that arabesque a second longer, and I found that it worked. I would hold it just a hair longer, and then have less time in those exhausting transitions. It made my dancing more dynamic. It was really nice visually and for me and my confidence to have those points of like hitting positions really well. And then also I used my tension to my advantage. It's crazy. It works. It's insane. So I'm sorry. I felt like a lot of my tips were kind of all over the place, but as far as artistry goes, just be very aware of your facial expression. Identify where you are holding most of your tension, figure out either how to channel that into a way that works for you or eliminate it just through practice and experimentation with yourself. Technically, relaxation and depth of plie, rhythm and using momentum to get up onto releve, trying the tip of holding positions for a hair longer, see if that works for you. Use those gripped muscles to your advantage to stay on point, and then just tell yourself to completely relax in the plie or whatever transition you're going into. And then also, obviously, footwork is one of the things that just goes out the window when you're super tired. So the more you just think of really articulating through your feet, I find that when I just think of pointing my feet super hard, they get more cramped. But for me, the thought of articulating helped me a bit more. So maybe that'll help you. Other than all those tips, obviously cross-training definitely deserves an honorable mention. You need to be doing some cardio, whether that just be on an elliptical, or it doesn't have to be super intense cardio, but something where you are getting your heart rate up and you're really sweating. I would recommend trying to do at least 15 minutes of cardio just a couple times a week. Maybe 2 or 3 times will work for you, but the more, it will also depend on the length of the piece you're prepping for. I found that when I was doing like an exhausting 7-minute piece that just was go, like a lot of big movements, I would try to do 15 minutes of pretty exhausting cardio so that I had that little extra piece of endurance, because your endurance kind of diminishes when you have heightened levels of adrenaline and you're not breathing because you're stressed. Oh yeah, don't forget to breathe. Again, just recapping, breathe, people. But not aside from just cardio, strengthening, like doing Pilates or something like that, at least having an ab strengthening routine and just having really good mechanics in your releve, and having rotation coming from the right place in your legs, like strength enough in your legs to rotate properly instead of just always forcing your turnout, because then you're going to completely lose it whenever you're tired. So anyway, I really hope that helped you guys. I hope it wasn't too all over the place, but I have a lot of thoughts on the matter. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll subscribe and stick around for more videos. Let me know what else you want to see. I am always inspired by your comments. Exhibit A, today's video. So I hope to see you in my next video, and have a good week. Bye!